The latest addition to the Discovery Series lineup from Bardstown Bourbon Company is here. Number 5, Numero Cinque. Although this one's a little different. It's got a little Dickel in it. I can't keep a straight face and say that. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from themashanddrum, and today we have the 5th release from the amazing Bardstown Bourbon Company, the Discovery Series number 5. Now, the Discovery Series honors the art of blending old and rare bourbons that create depth and complexity, allowing drinkers to discover a new tasting note within each sip. Now, following the delicious Series 3 and Series 4, Series 5 has its work cut out for it. Let's find out what's exactly in the Series 5 blend and compare it to 3 and 4 right here on the Mash and Drum. So Bardstown Bourbon Company launched the Discovery Series in 2019 for $130 a bottle, but Bardstown Bourbon Company did it the right way with one word: transparency. Sure, hiring legends like Steve Nally to help you distill and blend helps, but seeing that label on the side of each bottle and seeing exactly the exact percentages of well-aged mash bills in those blends, I think just piqued everyone's interest, including mine. I mean, when you look at the side and you see, 12-year, 13-year, 14-year, 15-year-old bourbons blended together to make the Discovery Series, it makes it intriguing but also unique and delicious options for anyone looking to seek out an ultra-aged bourbon that doesn't break the bank too bad. While Discovery Series 1 and 2 focused on using well-aged bourbon straight out of Kentucky, Discovery 3 added 13-year MGP Indiana bourbon to the mix, while Discovery Series 4 used that popular 15-year 78.5% corn mash bill, said to be distilled by Jim Beam, to make Discovery 4 a delicious blend as well. So that brings us to number 5. Since the ultra-aged MGP well is starting to run a bit dry, and so many brands use that 78.5% corn mash bill, they aren't sure how much of that is still laying around, if any. So Bardstown Bourbon Company went down to their southern neighbor of Tennessee for the standout component in this blend, Tennessee whiskey. To be more exact, George Dickel Tennessee whiskey. Discovery Series number 5 is bottled at 104.7 proof with a suggested retail price of $130 for a 750 milliliter bottle. It's available this month, or starting this month. It's starting to roll out now in all of Bardstown Bourbon Company's available markets. You can go check out their website to see if there is a market near you. All right, guys, so take a closer look at the label. I'm gonna go through the blend here. So we have a 31%, 13-year Kentucky bourbon, that 18% rye, that's pretty much known to be Barton. There's the 25% Tennessee whiskey, that is George Dickel Tennessee whiskey mash bill, a 17-year-old. Then we have a 25% of a 7-year-old 78-10-12. Then Kentucky bourbon. Then there's a 19% 6-year 75-13-12, which is I think that's Beam's mash bill. So have some really nice aged whiskeys in here, including that 17-year George Dickel Tennessee whiskey mash bill. Let's dive in and try it out. Here we go. All right, so first thing that jumps out of the glass for me is like a lot of cherry orange. Orange or candied orange is a note I generally get a lot of from ultra-aged George Dickel whiskeys. And I know a lot of people want to know, does it have that mineral note? Don't really get it too much. I think that there is some of that there. There's like a burnt caramel note type thing going on, maybe like a smoked caramel note, or maybe just a smoke note overall. There's something very smoky in here. I think that slight minerality and that slight, George Dickel flavor profile is present. It's just not overpowering. There's a lot of very sweet candy notes in here. This is promising. When I first cracked this open, it was very muted to me. I wasn't getting a lot. I think a little bit of air has done it well. Haven't had too much of this yet. I'm gonna add some drops of water in here a little bit later and see if that really opens it up. Yeah, it's actually a beautiful nose. It's very desserty on the nose. I mean, cherry, orange, like toasted oak. I think on one of the descriptions it said there was a little bit of marshmallow in there. I could see a little marshmallow too, for sure. There's also a very floral quality to it, which is interesting. Honey orange, like orange blossom honey a little bit. It's a nice nose. It's very different from any of the previous discoveries that I've had, I think. That's usually the point. Let's try it. You definitely get the 17-year oak profile in there, for sure. It's definitely present. More of that candied orange coming through. The smoke. Another sip here. It's a very interesting combination of flavors. It's definitely more on the mellow side. It's remember, it's only 104 proof and change, so it's not like punching you with a lot of flavor, especially on the mid palate. I gotta say the finish on this is very nice, making up for it. Give you a nice little warm Kentucky hug here. Another sip. Yeah, the oak starts to take over. Some nuttiness starts coming out. I even think some of that, I mean, it could be the Jim Beam in there. Starting to get some of the nutty profile come through. So, and that's another thing that actually happens with, I think, George Dickel whiskey. If you've ever had some of the older ones, or give, you know, any George Dickel a good amount of airtime, that minerality note starts turning into almost a nuttiness profile, at least for me. And I think that's what's starting to, you know, come through here a little bit. Another sip. I wish I was getting more of that marshmallow note on the palate. It's getting a lot of oak, a lot of citrus zest, a lot of like orange zest. Again, a little bit of chocolate, good amount of oak. Man, I think that 17-year whiskey is really coming through. I'm finding the flavors overall on the 5 a tad bit muted. Like the more I sip it, the only thing that's holding true is the finish. The finish is very strong. It's nice, spicy, it's lingering. Oak tannins, spice, black pepper, lingers on. But man, the palate is just, it's not, like I feel like I'm wanting more. When I let the, you know, I tell you guys, I let the bourbon kind of sit in the front of the tongue and I wait for that, you know, tingliness that it may have. And it's there a little bit. Man, I just think that 17-year-old Tennessee whiskey is really taking over. Not so much the minerality. I don't think you're getting a lot of the minerality from a George Dickel in there. There is some of it, but I think mainly you're getting the oak, you're getting a little bit of the chocolate, a lot of that orange zest, definitely the oak tannins, and there's definitely a good amount of nuttiness going on here as well. All right, I'm gonna add a couple drops of water to this and see what it does. All right, I'm gonna add 4 drops of water. Let's see what that does here. All right, so the water, I think, pronounced a little bit more of the chocolate and the George Dickel Tennessee whiskey notes here. Yeah, God, that florality to it that it has, being so floral, it's really crazy. Again, you're still getting kind of that burnt caramel, a little bit maybe like a burnt marshmallow note. Good amount of smoke. All right, let's go for a sip. You know what? The water kind of helps smooth out the rough edges, a little bit of that tannic, oaky quality to it. But the palate is still kind of muted. It's not giving me that big flavor punch that I'm used to from a Discovery series. Yeah, it really mellowed it out. All right, so I'm gonna pour a fresh glass of Discovery 5. We're gonna take out 4 and 3, give a quick comparison and see how it holds up. All right, guys, here, now this is a tasting. Discovery 3, 4, and 5. Discovery 3 has the Indiana MGP bourbon in it, 45% actually, 21% rye mash bill, and this one came in at 110 proof. Then we have Discovery 4 series, which had that Jim Beam, you know, 78.5% corn, 15-year-old bourbon. Let's see here, yeah, 15 years. That was 37% of the blend. And this one came in at 115 proof. And then we have the Discovery 5, which has that, you know, a big punch of 17-year George Dickel in it, but coming in only at 104 and change proof. So let's try all the noses and see how different they really are. Let's start with number 3. Oh, the nose on number 3 is so good. It's just like butter, toffee, orange, citrus, just a rich, rich vanilla caramel note too. Definitely get some spice, some cinnamon. Oh, I love the nose on number 3. All right, let's go to number 4. Now number 4 just has like more of a rich oak characteristic, but sweet oak. You definitely get that nuttiness, but that 15-year, that Jim Beam, it's like the perfect balance of really sweet, but also with some really good sweet oak age on it. Kind of like a musty barrel warehouse note in this, which I love. Man, I haven't gone back to Discovery 4 in a while. I forgot how good this was, especially on the nose. All right, then now coming off these two, let's go to the Discovery 5. Oh man, when you when you come off these two and then you smell that, you could definitely smell the Tennessee whiskey. Yeah, but this has such a distinct smokiness to it, and like a smoked cherry. I really love the nose on number 5. It's really different, it's unique. Oh man, it's so like candy and sweet. Also getting like a powdered sugar now. God, like cherry funnel cake type stuff going on. The nose on number 5 is freaking awesome and really inviting. All right, let's go to number 3. Let's go for a taste. Yeah, number 3 has that spice, has that punch. I mean, all the orange zest you can handle, especially coming off of, you know, from an MGP. Yeah, this has the flavor punch. But again, this is 110 proof. So it's got a little bit more, you know, heft to it. But it's just so rich and creamy. Yeah, I mean, number 3 was just so awesome. Such a damn good blend. Yeah, and even though the 3 as well also finishes, oh man, the after like taste on this is just so good. The finish just gets so much sweeter on the back end of number 3. That's so good. All right, let's go to number 4 here. So number 4 has that nice oaky beam characteristic. You know, I would say for a long time that 3 was my favorite. I think 4 is my favorite. 4 is so damn good. 4 just has such a perfect balance of sweet flavors and oak, the nuttiness, the chocolatiness to it. God, the cinnamon punch, the baking spices in here. It's got all the flavor punch in the world. That's a beautiful blend. I always said like 3 was my favorite. I might be leaning towards 4 now, especially having compared them in a while. I think 4 has really kind of opened up nicely, and 3 might be falling a little behind. Of course, you know, number 4 also has the highest proof at 115. All right, so now coming off these two, let's go into number 5, and then we'll get into our final breakdown here. I love the nose on number 5. It is ridiculously good. God, it literally smells like fried dough, cherries, powdered sugar, and candied orange. And some smoke. Like you took that funnel cake out of the fryer. It was in there a little bit too long. Ooh, that's good. All right, let's go to the palate. Oh man, coming off these two, the palate just dies. Oh, that's so disappointing because it smells so good. Come on, one more sip. Here, come on. All right, second sip was a little better. The sweetness and that candied sugar and that funnel cake dough that I'm getting on the nose, it's not translating to the palate, and that's what's pissing me off. Because I want that nose to also be the same experience. It's one of those times where you really want the nose to match the palate, and it's just not happening. It's just getting very oaky, and the Tennessee whiskey is definitely taking over. It's a little bit drying. You still get the chocolate and the candied orange there a little bit, but yeah, it's a fast experience, unfortunately. The nose is stellar. It's got a great finish, but the middle of the palate, where I want all the meat and the potatoes to be, or all the stuff I was getting on the nose, man, it's just not there. Still a solid blend, but let's go to the final breakdown. All right, final breakdown time. This one will be interesting. All right, here we go. So price for this one, 130 bucks, MSRP for a 750 milliliter bottle. Secondary, I have seen these on secondary already, the Discovery 5s, and I've seen them as high as 250, 200 to 250. That's generally, I guess that's kind of the going rate for these. There is some ultra aged bourbon in here. that usually likes to be sold on secondary pretty regularly. So, you know, unfortunately, Bardstown Bourbon Company is not immune to the secondary market either. Availability for Bardstown Bourbon Company has gotten a lot better in the last year or so. I think they're in about 22, 23 states. Again, head to the website to check out exactly where their availability is. I'll actually list it down in the description of the video from what they say on the website. But I won't say it's great, but I think it's good and getting better. So when it comes to value, I actually think this is a good value. That might be surprising for some people because, you know, $130 might be a lot of, you know, skin you got to put in the game to get your hands on one of these. But think about the market that we have. There's such an array of prices, you know, from age to age. I mean, you can end up spending $100 for a 6, 7, 8 year MGP bourbon, or even look at the, you know, we mentioned the Jim Beam mash bill that was in Discovery 4, which I think might be my new favorite Discovery series. And you know how much that particular mash bill was used across the spectrum from different labels. I mean, you saw it as cheap, you know, as cheap as 110, 120 bucks, all the way up to 250 and even 300 for the same exact mash bill. You weren't getting anything different. You were just getting it from a different brand that wanted to price it accordingly as they saw fit. So $130 for a lot of great ultra-aged bourbons and whiskeys blended into this. I think $130 is exactly where it should be. I'm gonna say the value is good. So the most I'd pay. So for this particular batch, I would stick with MSRP. The most I'm paying for this is $130. I don't think you should pay any higher for this one for the Discovery Series 5. I think as you look at Discovery Series 3, which has that ultra-aged MGP in it, like I said, that well is running dry. I don't think we're gonna see many blends or many brands putting out some of that really nice, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13 year MGP. There might be some out there, but not as many as we've seen in the past. Then you have Discovery 4 that has that 15 year, you know, mystery mash bill. A lot of people said it was from Beam. We don't know if we're gonna see any of that anymore. But the George Dickel Tennessee whiskey, that stuff's not going anywhere. So we might see more of that down the line. So I think $130 for this is what I'd pay. All right, so is this a recommend? Now this is tough. So I'm gonna, as much as I wanna say go and grab one of these, I think for me personally, this is a try before you buy. And not because it's a bad blend, I just think there are things that are not missing in this blend and things that are missing in this blend. So for example, the thing that is not missing is the fact that this has, you know, 17 year George Dickel Tennessee whiskey in the blend, which some people have a very deep aversion to. And while if you don't like that, I think there are components of this where you are gonna pick that up. There's an oakiness aspect to it. The minerality is there, it's not super strong. Now the thing that's missing is all the meat and potatoes, like I said, on the front of the palate, in the middle of the palate, I should say. It just goes by way too fast. You get all the rich oak notes and you get some of the, you know, the orange spice, a little bit of the cherry there, and definitely the smoke, I think, as well, or the oak char, whatever you want to call it. But there's just not enough. The more you sip this, it just goes by so damn quickly. It just feels very subdued. You know, maybe they were going for that. Maybe they were going for more of an easy sipping experience here, but I feel like you could have easy sipping and still have that flavor punch. The nose on this, incredible, and I feel like it gets better. That cherry funnel cake, orange, that deep fried, like smoke aspect to it is absolutely glorious. The finish on it, it definitely holds the spice. You get the oak, some baking spices show up in the back end too, a little bit of cinnamon. But in the middle of the palate, all that flavor I'm getting on the nose, I want it on the palate, and it's just, unfortunately, it's not there for me. So for this particular batch for me, I think you need to try it before you buy it. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed this review for the brand new Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series number 5. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you've had this yet, what you think. Am I off? Like I said, I love the nose, I love the finish. Just missing something for me on the palate. It just feels very subdued to me. And like I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers, and I'll see you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. Take care, everybody.